everyone, this is Zara from Baby Waishi and welcome to the third video in the Pacifier series. Today we will be talking about the myths related to pacifiers. So guys, this is another mythbuster video for all of you and I hope you will definitely like it. As I mentioned in my previous videos, my daughter was on the pacifier for around 15 months. Right now she is around 20 months old and she used it from the time she was 2 months to the time she was around 18 months or so. So yeah, she used it for quite some time and I thought this was the right time to do a video on it. Yes guys, the first thing we do hear about from a lot of people is don't give your child the pacifier or else they will have buck teeth and their teeth are very protruding. Guys, this is not true. The fact is that it is not just usage of pacifiers that causes buck teeth. It is the prolonged usage of pacifiers that has to be said right. The main thing is that if your child is using a pacifier for around even when they are 2 to 3 years old, then yes, then they do run a risk of having buck teeth, otherwise not at all. Also, nowadays we get these orthodontic pacifiers, not the usual ones with the bulb-like nipples. We get those with the slant tip nipples, which I did show you in my first video on pacifiers. Very protruding. Guys, this is not true. The fact is that it is not just usage of pacifiers that causes buck teeth. It is the prolonged usage of pacifiers that has to be said right. The main thing is that if your child is using a pacifier for around even when they are 2 to 3 years old, then yes, then they do run a risk of having buck teeth, otherwise not at all. Also, nowadays we get these orthodontic pacifiers, not the usual ones with the bulb-like nipples. We get those with the slant tip nipples, which I did show you in my first video on pacifiers. Very protruding. Guys, this is not true. The fact is that it is not just usage of pacifiers that causes buck teeth. It is the prolonged usage of pacifiers that has to be said right. The main thing is that if your child is using a pacifier for around even when they are 2 to 3 years old, then yes, then they do run a risk of having buck teeth, otherwise not at all. Also, nowadays we get these orthodontic pacifiers, not the usual ones with the bulb-like nipples. We get those with the slant tip nipples, which I did show you in my first video on pacifiers. Your genes. If someone in your family has large lips, then you may run the chance and have the chance of having large lips, but otherwise not at all. And like I said in my Mythbuster video about using a feeding bottle, come on, I mean, people love to have Angelina Jolie lips. If you're getting it just like that, then why not? Yes, a lot of people also do say that when you're weaning your child off a pacifier, automatically your child will start sucking their finger. This is again not right. It is just a myth, guys. It does not happen. A prime example is my own daughter. My daughter has been weaned off the pacifier for around 2 months now, 2.5 months now, and she does not suck her thumb at all. Infections, yes, I mean, this is something which depends more upon the usage and the sterilization. If the pacifier falls down a lot of times and without sterilizing it, if you put it back into your child's mouth or your child just picks it up and puts it back in their mouth, then yes, there is a risk of infection. But otherwise, no. Using a pacifier is not a short thing that okay, if you use a pacifier you will get an infection. Not at all. As I said, my daughter used a pacifier for around 15 months and she did not get an infection even once during that time because of a pacifier. She just got a cold maybe around 2 times or so during the weather change, but nothing was because of the pacifier per se. Another myth, guys, which really is ridiculous. I was told by a lot of relatives my age in fact, and they were like, if you use a pacifier, it might result in delayed speech, which is very ridiculous. Using a pacifier has nothing to do with speaking. When the child does not want the pacifier in their mouth, they will remove it. It has nothing to do with how fast or how slow your child is going to start talking. This is another myth that I've heard of a lot, that if you give a colicky baby a pacifier, it tends to soothe them and it cures the colic. This is just a myth, guys. It doesn't really happen. Yes, it does soothe the child of that agitation which they go through during the process of colic, but it doesn't really cure colic at all. You will still need to give your child an anti-colic medicine or something like that, but just the pacifier alone does not help with that. Yes, some do say that using a pacifier will actually result in rotting of the teeth. No, using a pacifier has nothing to do with the rotting of the teeth. Yes, however, if you had to use something sweet or with the pacifier and then put the binky in your child's mouth, then probably yes, prolonged usage of that sort of a pacifier with something filled in it may result in rotting. But if you use a simple pacifier, then no, it does not result in any rotting and will not affect the health of the teeth at all. Yes, this is something that even I thought. This was a misconception that I had myself, that using a pacifier will interfere with how the child breastfeeds. But that is not the truth. The truth is that probably if you give your child a pacifier right in the beginning, if you give the pacifier to a newborn before they've learned to latch properly and gotten the hang of breastfeeding, then yes, probably it will result in some kind of nipple confusion. But otherwise, no. If you the ideal time that is said to introduce your child to a pacifier is when they are around 6 months or so. So that's about, say, 1.5 months post birth. So if that's done, then there is no issue at all. If it's just, the matter of how fast you introduce them to the pacifier. If it shouldn't be too soon. Otherwise, yes, only then would it cause nipple confusion. Ear infections. This is again not something that has any conclusive evidence anywhere. I have hunted and hunted online, but there is no conclusive evidence that using a pacifier may result in ear infections. It's just, if there's a virus in the air, or if the pacifier is dirty and not properly washed, or probably it has, it's been on the floor for a long time and your child has used that without washing and sterilizing, then probably yes, because then it becomes a breeding ground for all those viruses and all those infections. But if the pacifier is clean, then no, then your child is at no risk at all. Guys, I hope this video has helped you in case you are wondering about whether to use a pacifier or not and are bogged down by all those myths and all those things that people have been telling you about pacifiers. This is the truth about pacifiers, and I believe that if you're going to use something like a pacifier, you should be well informed about it. Everything has its pros and cons, and so does a pacifier. So just go through this video and be well informed. You can probably go back if you have any doubts, or you can comment below and ask me if you have any queries at all. If you have liked our video, please click the like button below and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We have some really lovely videos coming up, and I will link the previous videos relating to the pacifiers down below in the description bar. As always, moms, stay safe and see you next time.